Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, world? This is the Onealien Show. Thank you for coming in and spending some time with us. We are here today. I am your host. I'll be your host for this episode. Today, I am here, John O'Neill, and we're just going to have a wonderful, wonderful show. I've got a special friend in the house today, and so I'm going to introduce you to him in a minute. But before that, I want to bring your attention to Whole Harmony Healing. This episode is brought to you by Whole Harmony Healing, and they believe in treating the whole person, the body and the mind and the spirit. Each person we meet has a different circumstance that led them to where they are when they came to Whole Harmony for help. Using holistic methods helps to assist amazing individuals work through past experiences and heal from the inside out. Please visit wholeharmonyhealing.com. As a matter of fact, you can schedule your appointment, and when you talk to a Jalea, tell her that the Onealien Show sent you for special pricing. Wow, wow, wow. Man, oh man. I'm jumping with joy. Could you tell? I'm so super excited today. I am absolutely flying high in the spirit, and that's because of the gratitude that I continue to have. You guys are showing up and showing out. You guys are giving me so much support, and I appreciate it. The Onealien Show is here. We're an agent of change, and therefore on all of our social medias, TikTok and Twitter and Facebook and even Instagram, for goodness sakes. I almost forgot the IG. We're on all of them, and you guys are interacting. We've got over 12,000 followers on TikTok. We've got double, triple digits, some digits, multiple digits, a bunch of digits on Instagram. It's all over. And so my gratitude is to each and every one of you. I appreciate it. I appreciate the feedback and just the impact. That's why we do it. We do it for you. We do it for you. And so I'm here each and every week to share a few things, whether it be about leadership or whether it be about love or whatever it's about. I'm here. I'm here to reach out and extend my helping hand. As an agent of change, I want those of you who are listening who have a desire to change from the inside out, who have a desire to forge a new path. We are here, hopefully, for you to grab some nuggets. So grab a bag every time you're listening. Come on in and have a seat. You can see us at starworldwidenetworks.com. We are all there. The Onealien Show. We're across the top. We're in the carousel on the limelight. We've made the cut, and we're up there for you to check us out. Click on the Onealien Show, and you're gonna. Oh my goodness, there's all types of shows. There's about 20, 15. I've lost count. You tell me how many there are on there. As soon as you watch each and every one of them, the Onealien Show. We are so happy to have you. We're so happy to have you. Man, any place, anytime. So last week I talked about sidewalk square counting. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago I introduced Sidewalk Square Counting, the new book by your about to be newly, it's not on the shelves yet, but about to be your new author, John O'Neill. Sidewalk Square Counting is my poetry book. It's just poetry. It's some words, it's inspirations that came to my mind all through the years. I think, since I was a younger child, different things change, right? And I talked about how the inspiration comes sometimes, and there's inspiration that you get. And sometimes we discount information and inspiration because it may not apply to our lives at the moment. Sidewalk Square Counting is a illustration of my journey. It's an illustration of life and love and happiness that I've been through. And some of them are things that I never even went through. And that's what I'm talking about right now. Sometimes you get inspiration, and because it doesn't apply to you in the moment, you may discount it as not being yours. But I'm here to tell you that everything that comes into your mind, everything that's dropped into you is for a reason and for a purpose. So even if you feel like it doesn't apply to you that day, I encourage you to write it down because it may apply to you. It may come in handy for you specifically later. Or like me, there's some poems in there that never even applied to me, but the feeling, the sentiment behind it, the energy that I was able to summon to have those words written out on paper, it hits people. It hits some people that read it and they get something out of it that I may not didn't even know that that's what the intention of it was. So Sidewalk Square Counting, it's going to be, is done. It's done. It's already wrapped up. Had a meeting meeting yesterday, and it's done. The illustration is good. I'm happy with it. Not only am I happy with it, but I'm so oh my goodness, I'm so freaking humble. It's crazy. It's that someday thing that I've been talking about for at least 30 years. I told you, at least 30 years I've been talking about it. In this year, the year of the Lion's Love, 2023, something is manifesting, it's materializing right in front of me. So man, I don't know what I need to pull from that. Maybe you could pull something and share it with me, but it's never too late is one thing that comes to my mind. It is never too late. And my friend that's here with us today, we're going to talk about some things, and there may be a never too late thing that you can find within his story. But I will guarantee you that this man is he's a deep friend of mine. He's pretty close. He's pretty close to me, and we have known each other for man, my first marriage was in 99. Is before that. So in the 90s, back in the 1900s, we met each other. And from there, we've just been compadres, right? Sometimes life, you have friends. I talked to you about it before. Sometimes your friends go in different directions. Sometimes, you stay connected from a distance. But when you really, truly have a friend that's near and dear to your heart, they'll always be there. They'll always be there. We don't have to be up under each other for our friendship to have always existed, ladies and gentlemen. The love continued no matter what. So he's here, and without further ado, I'm just going to bring him in. I mean, I don't have to have too much of a build up. Without further ado, I want to introduce you to my very good friend, Douglas Chukwuemeka. Chukwuemeka, I said it right.
Chukwuemeka.
Man, everybody gets it. It's a rough one, but I got it right because I've practiced it about 10,000 times. And so we're here, Doug. Welcome to the Onealien Show.
I'm so glad to be here, John. It's great. This is awesome.
Forgive us if we just get into it and just laugh and reminisce. You guys are on the sidelines for this one. So my friend Doug, we've known each other for a while, but there's a certain while in our lives when we didn't know each other. Tell everyone, remind me where you came from and how did you get to Arizona? Because you're not from here originally, right?
No, originally I was born in Baltimore, Maryland.
Be more.
Yeah, I'm an East Coast.
Oh, East Coast guy. Gotcha.
Yes, sir. And I was born back in the, would you say 1900s?
Yep. That's an easy one.
Yeah, way back there.
Way back.
Yeah, but no, I was raised very humble beginnings. My sister and I were both raised by our grandmother, abandoned by my mother at a very early age, maybe 5 years old. Father was a decorated World War II veteran.
Okay.
But after the war, in those days, they didn't have the term PTSD. They called it shell shot.
Shell shot?
Shell shot. So to deal with his situation, he was an alcoholic, chronic alcoholic, but a great guy, creative, funny, humorous, and we didn't have available the behavioral health services that we have since then. So I was raised by my grandmother, as I said, who was a very, very pious lady.
Okay.
And all she did was the Bible.
That's it.
And that's basically at my core, that shaped my entire purpose for what I've done all my life and I'm still doing today. So having said that, of course, I ended up in Arizona because on my journey, my late wife and I, came to Arizona to plant a church.
Okay, wow.
And
all the way from Baltimore.
All the way from Baltimore, right.
And
so
you had spent significant time in Arizona, mapping it out and understanding?
Never.
That's what I was going to say.
Never.
East Coast transplant and never been here.
East Coast transplant. In one day, had to find a place to live, had to find, everything because we were brand new here. We had never been here before.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how we ended up here.
Okay. And so one of the things that I heard you say is when you were growing up, you said your grandmother was very centered on the Bible.
Spiritual.
And so she read to you guys regularly the scriptures from the Bible?
Yeah, absolutely. It was our daily lifestyle.
Nice.
That's all that she knew.
Okay. Yeah.
And in the absence of my mother and my father, that was how she raised us.
Wow.
And so my value system, my belief system, Bible-based.
Bible-based. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For life.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So you're here in Arizona. You're here and you're planting a church.
Right. From scratch.
From scratch.
Yeah.
New Destiny Christian Church.
New Destiny Christian Church. Which,
NDCC.
Right, which is this year 29 years along.
29 years. Wow and wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a long time to do anything.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah, I'm feeling it right now.
Okay. Right. So you landed here. New Destiny Christian Church was launched. NDCC. Church Alive is worth a drive is what we used to call it.
That was our motto.
Yes,
It still is.
It still is.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And that's where we met.
That's where we met. Absolutely.
And I've said it before, Doug, but Pastor Doug, we have so many different relationships. I never know what connotation to use with him, but for this sentence, I'm gonna say, Pastor Doug, if you remember, I told you there was a time in my life when I needed that. I needed that intervention, and so I went to New Destiny Christian Church. To be honest with you, I went to appease a woman who I was interested in at the time, and so like some other knucklehead dudes like myself, I went and sat in there. And what I tell people is that just like this show and just like the words that I say, right, there is a voice for you to hear, and there's not every voice that you will hear. And what I tell Doug and what I'm so thankful of is there was a time in my life when I needed a change. When we want to talk about change, there was a time in my life when I needed a change. I need to understand some other things. And the message for me needed to come what I call be more style. It needed to come with the flavor that my friend Doug, Pastor Doug, delivers that message, right? And so I was really grateful. As I've matured and looked back and understood, I was very grateful because there's a lot of places I could have sat in that time, and I would not have heard the message because of the person delivering it. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Culturally,
Yes.
you know, as you said, I'm a transplant.
Yes.
And so culture is what culture is.
Yeah, exactly.
And without acclimating into the Southwest culture right away, yeah, you got to be more version of me.
I sure did. It was raw and uncut back then, boy. It was coming straight.
People say that a lot, but at the same time, a lot of people say things that are similar to what you just said. Is that's the style,
Yes.
and that's the voice that
Correct.
spoke to their spirit.
Exactly.
Yeah, spoken to their spirit.
Awesome. Absolutely. Not to mention he's light skinned like me, so you know we was cool from there. I said that's my dude. So okay, awesome. So tell us about. We talk about journey. So your journey from Baltimore coming all the way out to Arizona. Let's go back. Let's go back a little bit. Let me pull a little bit out of that journey because you said you and your wife had moved out. So you what was that like? Your marriage life back in the early days, in the transition to move, in all those things. Tell us about that.
Well, a little bit about my journey as far as my wife and I goes. I married her, or we married each other, the Saturday after I graduated high school.
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
the Saturday following graduation.
Happy graduation.
Right.
Here's a wife.
As a matter of fact, in our school yearbook, we are in there, and it's our wedding photo as the first in the class, graduating class, to get married. Yeah, right.
You guys hit that right away.
So we started early.
Okay.
And very, in love and all of that,
Sure.
right? But very young, 17, 18.
17, 18, yeah.
Right. And fast forwarding, though, until she passed away almost 2 years ago, we were married 49 years.
49 years.
Yeah, so it lasted.
It did.
Yeah,
It
she
did.
was my life partner.
Look at that. Look at that.
Absolutely.
Don't ever let them tell you can't start early. Don't ever let them tell you.
Right.
A lot of people try to interrupt that. They say you're not ready. You're not mature enough. You don't know yourself. All those things, right? And so you guys had to grow together. I would imagine those first 10, 15 years being so young. In your 20s, your 20s were probably much different than your 30s and your 40s, right?
Yeah.
And so tell me about the early phase, just kind of being a man and new wife and young and 20s and.
Well, a lot of inexperience is what it is.
Sure.
And learning how to relate to life itself.
Okay. Yeah.
Without the experience of having lived enough life to know exactly where all of the cookies crumble and where the pegs go and that kind of thing. We made some mistakes, but we were in love and we were very supportive of each other. And again, she was a believer as I was. So everything was Bible based and
Absolutely.
you know, centered around our relationship with God. And so through all of that though, we did grow. And as we grew in ministry, which is my whole point as to how I came to Arizona, we came here again to start the ministry, which
Right.
we did.
Absolutely.
Before then, doing ministry, I have a whole long story about that, but we don't have time for all that today.
That's a whole show.
That's a whole show by itself. I went into to mission trips
Okay.
to Africa.
Okay. Yeah.
And through those mission trips and crusades and all of that, I got more acculturated. And what we were finding in our ministry experience was not only the spiritual things that people would deal with, and we were, there to try to help them with, but the mental issues,
Right.
psychological issues,
Yes.
and that kind of thing. So back then, though, I had no real inkling.
Of any of that.
I'm looking back, looking on it, and seeing how it came to be.
Sure.
But very dedicated and committed to the ministry. So when we came to Arizona, we started the church. Of course, that was the focus. But one thing that I did not do, I told you we got married the Saturday after I graduated high school.
Yep.
I forfeited college because we got married.
Because you're already married.
But I had already had a full scholarship to 2 colleges,
Wow.
University of Pennsylvania and Northwestern University in Elmhurst.
Okay.
And so I forfeited my college education for marrying my sweetheart. So my thing was, I was always saying, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to go back to school.
Yeah.
I want to get this degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
That didn't happen until I turned 52.
Wow.
And that was here in Arizona.
Here in Arizona.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna jump to that real quick. Let's not go fast forward. That is amazing though. That is amazing. Okay, so you up and moved to Arizona. You're here, building things, enjoying life in Arizona. What about the rest of your family? Were you guys just by yourselves or?
Well, our one son was born in 1998.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah.
Shout out to Amari.
Yeah, right. And and we were way up in our 40s by then. I told you I could go a long time with my journey. But again, we started our family. So after that, well, no, he came in 98. So in 1994, there was an awakening
Okay, awakening.
that led me into the mental health field.
Okay.
And
What was that?
it came through one of the members of my congregation. Her son had suffered a very traumatic illness.
Yes.
And I went to visit him in the hospital. And as I got out of my car that day, I always have to go to this place here. I got out of my car and I was headed toward the door. There was a sign to the hospital that said behavioral health.
Behavioral health, right? The behavioral health ward. I mean, wing.
Yeah, wing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know it had anything to do with him. But the thing was, I had gone to the front desk to find out where he was, and they told me to go to that building.
Got you.
I thought I was there for something else. He was really in ICU. He was in critical condition. He could only have clergy visit.
Right.
And his mom. So to cut it shorter, that epiphany, that moment, I was walking toward the building, and the sign said behavioral, and I deep in my spirit heard that, and I couldn't shake that word behavioral. So I go in, I do the visit and everything. He passed away a couple of days later. And so walking with his family through the trauma and that kind of thing, I was feeling that the spiritual part was there, but it was more to it that I could not really grasp or help. And that was the mental anguish that mother was
Trauma,
suffering, the
those
trauma and that.
Right.
And that word behavioral kept coming back to me, back to me, back to me. And so in my prayer time, I took that to mean that I should be doing something with this behavior thing. So I started looking it up and all of that.
Yeah.
And of course, you know what behavioral mental health speaks for itself.
Yes.
Next thing I know, I'm going down to University of Phoenix and I'm filling out an application to get my degree.
To go back to school.
To go back to school. And see, the connection was all the way from back there. So I went, but then I go in and they said, well, what do you want to do? What courses do you want to take or whatever? And I said, you got anything behavioral?
Not even know the degree or nothing.
That's it. I knew nothing about it. You got anything behavioral? And of course, they showed me the curriculum or whatever. I said, yeah, let me do that. So that turned into me getting my bachelor's. And then the next week after that, going on to get my master's in counseling.
Yeah. Licensed?
And licensed professional counselor.
Wow.
So I've been licensed since 2010.
Unbelievable.
And still doing the vocation, but this with the added component of mental health and bringing the spiritual, making mental health to the spiritual aspect.
Sure.
And that integration.
Yeah.
I was surprised doing my coursework of how many of the theory-based interventions in psychology and in counseling all support having the spiritual component in treatment.
Both.
I was surprised, to find it out. And even till now, if you think about like AA, you think about Mr. Wilson and Dr. Smith that started AA.
Yeah.
It was two men who were struggling with an addiction to alcohol who found that their source was to appeal to God as you define him, a power higher than yourself.
Absolutely.
And so, which AA, that was started in 1930s, which is still with us today, is one of the best.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah. Supports for people who are struggling with addiction and alcohol and that kind of thing. So my point is the integration of spirituality and mental health.
Sure.
Is really an evidence-based intervention that's worthy of that practice.
Right.
With results, with good results.
Okay. That is amazing. Back to school. Congratulations. Back to school.
I was late. I was the oldest person in all my classes, but that was cool.
I keep saying back. You didn't even go the first time. So to school.
To school.
To school for the first time.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Congratulations. You had an awakening. You saw a need. You saw a need. And if nobody else is going to fill it, sometimes we have to fill it ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. That is beautiful. And then so there's an intersection between the spiritual and the mental that you're talking about, right? I'm just curious, as a person who's been pastoring for so many years, what did all of that knowledge did you feel like that added into any type of understanding as you were developing spiritual messages? Because as you alluded to, in the mental realm, there's some spiritual things. And I guess I'm just curious, as a scholar yourself and theologian?
Sort of, kind of.
Yeah. Right? Well, someone who's read the Bible before.
There you go.
Okay. All that additional knowledge, you know what I mean? The perspective, as you're reading that and drawing things out of there, what was it? Did you find that there were some revelations and things revealed?
Absolutely.
Knowing the mental health side of it.
Oh, absolutely. Because the scriptures talks about the mind.
Okay, yeah.
Transforming of the mind, the renewing of the mind.
Renewing of the mind, absolutely.
Yeah. And, a lot of times we don't read the Bible, but the Bible reads us.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Right.
And it was there all the time, except I'm not seeing it relevant to any more than what like you said, your knowledge, right?
Yeah.
But then in real life, when people are having these challenges and they're having these issues, and they come to you for help, what do you do?
Right.
Who goes to a surgeon who doesn't have, who's going to use rusty tools?
Sure.
Right?
Please don't.
Who's going to put their life in the hands of a so-called professional who doesn't know his craft? And so, yeah, of course, it's always been there. But what did I know to do? It was all I knew to do was what? Pray, give them a scripture, and you cry with them.
Expound on it.
Yeah, cry with you. But it's more to it than that.
Wow.
Because there's a need for the spirit to be fed. There's a need for the body to have what it needs, its nourishment, its nutrients, right?
Yes.
And there's a need for the mind to be sound.
Yes.
I mean, you talk about that. The scriptures say, have a sound mind.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
So without the skill set, the next thing that I did was to just obey. I believe the spirit, I was led that way. Look, go study this. Oh, that was what it was when I saw that sign. I kept hearing in my mind say, study.
Study that.
Study. Yeah, behavioral. That was it right there. Study.
Wow.
It was like, wow, study. So that's how I ended up at school. And I pursued it. And once I got that added component, now I can minister to the total person. And it's a beautiful blend. It's a powerful blend of the mental and the spiritual.
Totally agree. That is so awesome.
You know, when a person's soul is sick, they feel powerless.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But then added to that is the mental torment that completely shatters the hope. That's why it's a marriage.
Okay.
Because a person can be very spiritual, and their mind can think hopelessness. You see?
So it's about aligning your mind and your thoughts.
And your spirit. Yes.
Having both of them healthy enough.
And balanced.
And balanced.
Yes.
Wow. That's
with a
awesome.
healthy heart, a heart representing the soul.
Yep.
A healthy mind.
Yep.
And a healthy body.
Yep.
Got a healthy person.
Wow. Holistically.
Holistic health.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is beautiful.
Or to just address part and not all leaves the person impaired.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. If we're standing on three pillars, if we're standing on three legs, and one of them is out, you've fallen.
Exactly.
You want all three of them
Exactly.
functioning as well as possible. So, as a counselor, is there anything? How about in certain cultures, Doug, as well as genders, right? So, mental health is looked on a lot differently from person to person. And with your greater understanding, right? I guess let me ask a two-part question. The first is, what was your mental health counseling experience or perception previous to actually becoming one, right? And then what message would you have for people with that new learning going forward?
Yeah, great question. Great question.
What was your personal experience with mental health previous?
Yeah.
Then you went and became an expert. And then what would you say to everybody else as you look back on yourself and anybody else going forward for mental health?
Let me give you an example.
Sure.
A horrible example.
Okay.
Because you asked me how was it before?
Yeah.
So a couple came in for counseling.
Okay.
To the pastor.
Yeah.
And the couple
for the spiritual part.
Well, they really came for counseling. They asked for counseling.
Oh, got you. Got you.
So they
not prayer, counseling.
No, they wanted counseling, right? And I said, okay, so what do you have to say? So the husband said what he said, and I said, okay, what do you have to say? This is me, as far as I know about counseling.
Sure, right.
And I said, well, we're gonna pray.
Referee.
And she said, no, I don't want to pray. I don't want to hold his hand. I said, hold hands. I don't want to. No, She was like all of that, and he was over there, sort of like, well, I don't want to hold your hand either, and that kind of thing. And then they both looking at me, and she's crying and everything, and she says, so what am I supposed to do? And I said, you married him. This is the past. Right. Doing counseling with
zero.
With zero. That's my real answer. That's how it was for me with the counseling piece.
Yeah, I see.
But then with the spiritual piece, I said, oh no, come on now. Come on now. This is what we're going to do. And you don't have to hold hands, and all of that. I said, but can I pray? They said, yeah. So that's basically what was going on. Because there's a lot more to it.
Gotcha.
A lot more to it.
Absolutely.
You can have I don't know what you want to call it. You can have compassion.
Yeah.
You can be empathetic.
Sure.
But it doesn't hurt for you to have skills,
Absolutely.
real knowledge that you can apply, and to give tools.
Absolutely.
Give the tools so that the person can do their own work.
Right.
See, because my inexperience as a counselor before was that I would be given all the answers, or thought I was supposed to be giving them the answers.
Right.
This is what you do now.
Yeah.
Then you're going to do this, and you're going
Sure.
to do that. When in actuality, they didn't have the tools to do anything, or they wouldn't be coming to me. So what I learned, with the study of this craft of counseling, is that no, it's just the opposite. We give them the tools so that they can do their work.
They do their own.
You do your own work.
Yeah.
You do your own work. Yeah. Because we don't have the answers.
No, you can't fix them.
You can't fix people. But what you can do is give them tools so that they can work.
Yeah.
Do their emotional
awesome.
work.
Yes.
Do their psychological work.
Right.
Do their
Right.
practical application
Right.
with the tools.
Right.
And usually people who do their work,
Mm-hmm.
they come up with their own answers. Because the answer is what works for you as an individual, not some blanket. It's no blanket cure.
Yeah. No magic formula. Is what I
No
said.
magic
There's
formula.
no magic formula.
No, you have to do your work.
That is crazy. So it sounds like that in that moment, even though you had, you were certainly versed in spiritual guidance, but it sounds like, some of the behaviors and some of the mental things that they were going through.
Yeah.
We don't understand that completely unless we have the training.
Plus, we have our own. I have my own baggage to carry.
Gosh.
Right?
Yeah, I got a whole truck.
All of us do. One of the popular questions that I get a lot is, how do you do this with so many people? How do you take on everybody's issues and problems?
Yes.
How do you do that
Right.
and it not affect you?
It's heavy.
I didn't know the answer to that until I went to school and learned.
Got you. What's the answer?
You train not to do it.
Oh, okay.
Don't take on other people's stuff. You got your own stuff. What are you gonna do
Yes.
except carry it, right?
Yes.
And so we're trained to know this is how you do. These are tools that you can use,
Yep.
and there's no wrong answers. They're just choices.
And then learn how to let go of it.
And leave
You give it to
at
them and
that.
leave it.
Leave it go. Let it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you go see a counselor if you
Right.
need to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Counselors need counselors.
Counselors need counseling.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Self-care.
Self-care. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Mandatory self-care.
And that's what I was alluding to now. And then I don't know how you, like for me specifically, I grew up kind of having a negative connotation of counseling, therapy and counseling.
Yeah.
And so, we never went to that. We never thought about it. I mean,
Well, in our community,
yeah.
yeah, that's like a taboo.
Yeah, right.
Because again, I was raised in the 50s, 60s, and back then, if you went to counseling, you were labeled as being crazy,
Yeah, loco.
loco. And that's literally what people say. They say, well, he's off his rocker.
Off his rocker,
she,
right.
She belongs in a nut house and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that connotation is pretty. It's cultural,
Sure.
from culture to culture,
Sure.
as well. Not just one culture, but across
Right.
cultures.
Right.
Yeah, because now we get to the thing. What makes it powerful? What makes counseling powerful is trust.
You're right.
Building trust.
Trust.
Yeah, building trust. Building trust. Not just rapport, but you have to build trust with a person that you're going to open up your heart to,
Right.
open up your soul to. Mm-hmm. And then pastoral counseling. Well, I'm not a pastoral counselor. I didn't choose to go with the pastoral counseling. But when people would come to me as a pastor, they want to bear all and open up, right? But if I'm not equipping them to work, I'm doing more harm than good by not.
More harm than good. More harm than good.
Yeah.
Right. One other question, just because you have, so the other thing with mental health, because you kind of talk about back in the day, right? People were just labeled, they just be around the neighborhood, you just point and everybody would kind of know so-and-so is crazy, or you know what I mean, he's off his rocker, right? And then the other thing that's changed in this industry, and we're leading up to what you're doing now, but the mental health industry in general back then, 80s was so different with people being institutionalized, people being thrown in
Hospitals,
right?
Oh, yeah.
Mental hospitals, poor treatment. We hear all the horror stories of that and all those things. So that's looking back again.
It's changed tremendously.
Right. Okay.
And electroshock therapy, don't leave that out. That was the normal practice
back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Electroshock therapy.
Oh yeah.
Unbelievable.
We put the electrodes in, put you in the hospital and shock you into
what?
I don't know what. It was horrible. But today, of course, counseling has changed in many, many, many ways where the client is equipped
and empowered. Because it's client driven now.
Client driven.
We're not like society, or it's not like some.
Well, we say client centered.
Centered. Yes. Okay, there we go.
When it's about the therapist, then you're not doing it right.
Okay.
It's client centered, right?
Client centered, yes.
And strength based.
Okay.
Because everybody can pull from their strengths. Everybody has strengths.
Everybody has a lion.
Yeah, everybody has a lion. Absolutely. Yes. Every single person, yeah. And we have weaknesses as well.
Sure.
So where are we going to put our focus? We're going to focus, whatever we're going to focus on is going to empower it and enlarge it.
Wow. And whatever you focus on is empowered and enlarged.
And enlarged.
Okay.
So if I'm going to focus on my weakness.
Yep. I'm going to give it power.
I'll get weaker and weaker.
Oh, wow.
It enlarges. It's like what do you call that?
Reverse polarity or whatever it is?
That thing.
Yeah, whatever that thing is. I got you.
Paradox. Paradox. Yeah. We say stronger, but actually you're empowering weakness and you become weaker and weaker and weaker.
Wow.
Or more negative.
Is there a practical example you can give me of some of that? Because it feels like we could fall into that trap and maybe not be conscious or aware of it.
Yeah, no, self-talk.
Okay.
Just self-talk.
Words. Oh my goodness.
Right. Thoughts. Thoughts are what dictate behavior, correct? Whatever I think, and see, again, this is where the mesh comes between the spiritual and the mental.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a spiritual principle that as I think, so am I.
Yes.
Straight out the Bible, Brian.
Right.
I wouldn't have to say the Bible, but it is.
Yep.
As a man thinketh, so is he.
Yep.
Right? So if I think negatively of myself, if I think negative thoughts, so am I. Negative about who? Myself.
Right. That is so amazing, Doug, because I just had that conversation this morning driving my daughter to school because someone had told her she has, some goop in her eyes a little bit. And so someone had said, you have pink eye, right? They jumped to that conclusion. And so she had said, man, I think I have pink eye or I might have pink, you know what I mean? And I had, and just without, my own fatherly, empathetic and calm, my soft lion side. I just reminded her about words, right? And I talked to her about words and in how I don't receive that. You don't have pink eye. You're not going to get pink eye, right? And just kind of talk to her exactly what you're saying about the power of words. When you say it, then that is.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, just like that. I give her examples of a test. If you say I'm gonna do okay on that test, but if you're saying I'm gonna fail that test and I ain't ready if you're saying then what do you expect your outcome to be? It's gonna be what you said.
When I went to take my NCE, National Counselor's Examination, you have to sit for 4 hours for that exam, a lawyer sits for their bar exam. And the anxiety that I had was enough for months.
Sure.
Because I'm studying every day for 6-7 months.
Wow.
To sit for this exam. Now, don't forget, I'm 55 getting ready to do this. This is not the 18-year-old me.
Totally.
So my brain
Don't forget you got a church.
And a life. And a life. a whole life. A whole lot of
it. Ain't standing still.
And I get to the climax because this is the climax of putting in all of that time, spending all that money. For this one test. Because if I flunk this test, I won't be licensed. You see? So it has its own anxiety built into it, correct? So the night before the NCE, and you have to pay to take the test.
Okay.
And it was like $350-something.
Right.
All of that together. The night before, I'm studying. I've been up all night long just studying. I called a couple of people to come in and fire off these questions to me. It's going to be like 300 questions on this thing and help me. And all that was great. And I'm telling you, the anxiety that I had the
Thoughts.
exactly what you said. I'm going to fail this thing tomorrow.
Right.
Forget that I've put in all this time of studying it. Forget, that because I talked myself out of taking the test.
Wow.
The honest truth. And I said, I'm not going. I'm not going. I just couldn't. I said, I can't
You didn't
go.
go?
Watch this. No.
I'm on my edge of my seat.
So
Who won, the voice or you?
the power of thought.
Yeah.
You see?
The power of
and
thought.
the more I thought, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, it got to the place where it shut me down completely. It shut me totally down to I'm not going. Okay, so my son comes in, and he says, Dad, he says, you still studying? And I said, yeah. I said, but I'm not going tomorrow. And he says, huh? He said, what do you mean not going? I said, I'm not going tomorrow.
Come on, bring it.
I'm not going. And he says, you're not going to take your test? You always told me, then he comes back
he
to
had to
me,
remind you.
right? That you don't give up. Quitters never quit. Quitters never win, or whatever he said, because I'm brain dead at this point. And I'm like totally in a ball of,
Right.
I'm locked down. And he says, and he was trying all of those, he wasn't trying, but he was saying, repeating back to me the values and the things that I had taught him. None of that clicked with me until he finally said, I can't believe you're going to throw away that money.
Uh-oh. He hit you right where it was.
That thought.
You're going to waste the money.
That thought. I'm going to waste what? He said, I can't believe it. You're gonna waste that money.
He knew what motivated you.
I don't know if he knew it or not, but that was the only thought that turned my mind. And I got up that morning. I drove out there. I was so shaky, so nervous. But I said, I'm not going to throw away my money. Mom said, don't throw away the money. Let me tell you something. I scored in the 97% range.
Wow. Look
one
at that.
thought.
Look at that.
It changed my thinking because when I walked in that room, I said, I'm not going to waste my money.
Whatever you needed to motivate.
I wasn't saying nothing about I might fail, none of that. I was just focused on not wasting. One thought, John. One.
Changed everything.
I was the last person in the room after 4 hours. I was the last one because as people finished to get up and walk out,
they're
I
all
was like,
leaving.
oh, wow. But I never said fail in my head that whole 4 hours. I never said it.
In 97.
And when the results came, I was so nervous I couldn't open the envelope.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't because it was only going to say one thing: you passed, right? Or failed. And the first word in there, and it was a guy over my house. My wife was there and everything. I said, I can't open it. Open it. I can't, because they make you wait like 4 months before they send you the results.
You got to sit and wait.
First word in that letter said, congratulations.
That's it.
All right, I've been fired up ever since. I learned it like that. The power of thinking.
Yes.
That negative thought.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's a beautiful story. Leads right into everything that I talk about as far as positive thinking, guarding your energy, right? You don't let anything negative even come at you. But like you explained, and like I talk about previously, and that is many times the whole battle is just right here.
It's right here.
Like it's not even external. Nobody's even saying anything negative. It's just me and myself, right? But you conquered.
Yes, and I never have to take that test again.
Never.
That's the thing. I say,
done.
Yes. Yeah,
awesome. That is awesome. So you're a full-fledged counselor, moving into all those things still going on, moving into counseling. You found yourself at an agency, started working. You're doing it?
Yeah, that was my first job in the field at 56 years old.
Unbelievable.
And I went into... Because then again, you got that too. You got the age thing going.
Yep.
And you're brand new.
Of course.
And you just got your degree.
Of course.
And the competitiveness to be hired. And I walked in again, like I said, after I passed that. After that, I was like, yes. And I walked in and did my interview. On my way home, the CEO called me and hired me. I didn't even get home from the interview.
Look at that.
Called me on the phone.
Look at that. And that sounds like another CEO that called you.
Yeah. It's a pattern. Once you're on this path.
Right.
Yeah. And I got hired, and it only took me less than a year to be promoted to supervisor. And then, because I And then my pursuit was to get my LPC because I came in as a licensed associate counselor. That's another whole process and a whole, and that happened. And because you can't supervise unless you're independently licensed. So I became an LPC, got that, and they gave me that position and staff. And
that is awesome. So Doug was working at that agency when I was building one of my businesses, and I needed an LPC. I needed an LPC, right? And so, I talk about friends, man. Friends helping friends. I extended a hand. I called Doug up one day and said, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. And I don't know when it is, but hey, listen, man, when I get it up, when it's ready, I'm going to call you. Right? You remember that phone call?
I'll never forget it because I was ready to leave that place.
Wow.
That was at that juncture right there. Because again, I still got that spirit going. And it was at the juncture where I said, well, I had done 5 years.
Okay.
I had promised them 10.
Right.
They locked me in, but not on paper. Said, if you do 10, you'll be this. And at the 5th year mark, I was ready to leave.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was that day I was driving home and you called me.
Look at that.
It was that same day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you called me. You said, you still doing that? Are you still doing that counselor thing or whatever?
Right,
I said, yeah. I said, what? What's up? And of course, yeah.
Amazing. So I called Doug and told him, but the funny thing was it was early on, so I didn't really have it built properly yet. I wasn't ready to give Doug an offer. So it was a little while after that, really, almost a year, I think.
It was a year.
It was a year.
Exactly a year.
A year later, I was finally ready. And so that's when, man, I was so honored and privileged, right? I talk about Avengers. This is one of my Avengers. I called him and I said, hey, look, man, I got it ready. What will it take for you to do that? In Doug, through our friendship, through our trust, right? He had to turn around to his wife and say, I'm about to walk off this job and go work for John O'Neill, who she knows who I am. Like, what? Are you kidding me? How are we gonna eat tomorrow? And so Doug, my friend, he trusted me, and so I appreciate that you trusted me.
Yeah, I trust.
I know it wasn't easy, and he came. He walked off a job and came to just work for just a little old guy starting something new, and it's been wonderful ever since, hasn't it?
And I always say it. I've said it to you. I say about you. You're the best boss I ever had.
Oh, wow.
Best one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. Make sure the camera's off me.
It's true.
Yeah, so and he's my Avenger. Like I said, he's my clinical director, man. He's my right-hand man. And so from there, we've grown. We've grown and we've changed. We've changed a lot, even in the last 5 years of being on this journey together. You know what I mean? There's been times when I tell you about Avengers. Let me give you an example through Doug. When I say Avengers, Doug and I have had conversations, and he because of our friendship, because of our connection. He looks out for me and I look out for him. And there's times when we have to protect the brand, is what I say, right? There's times when we have to make sure. I called Doug my not enforcement, but what are you? Compliance
officer.
Compliance officer, absolutely. Doug is my compliance officer. He keeps me on the straight and narrow, right? Because he knows that people like me, we're intuitive, ingenuitive. Right? We're trailblazers. And sometimes I get out ahead of myself. And so I need a guy like Doug to say, wait a minute. We got some state regulations and rules and things like that we have to adhere to. So, I just appreciate Doug, man. I appreciate my friend. And we've been doing this for a while. So Doug, as you and I continue our friendship and working together, I know something that hit both of us happened recently, and how are you doing these days in life in both of the things that you're talking about, the 3 legs, physically, right?
Yeah.
Spiritually and mentally. How are you, my friend?
Well, excuse me. From day to day.
Sure.
It's different for me.
Okay.
My wife passed away from cancer in November of 2021.
Wow.
And as I said before, after 49 years.
Not even 2 years.
Right. Not yet.
Wow.
And left with, this, again, another awakening.
49 years.
Yeah. When I say the word lonely
Yes.
but not alone.
Oh, I've heard that before. Yes.
Yeah.
People could be around you, but you could still be lonely.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm still in my grieving process.
Sure.
And
Did you understand because you're an LPC?
that's a misnomer right now.
Yeah, I know.
Because I'm talking about giving people their tools as they process grief, right? Grief and loss. Oh, okay. Do you know about the 7 stages of grief? This is how and I'm counseling, I'm doing it. And again, that's where the training comes in, that I can partition mine from that countertransference onto a client or a patient who needs tools to deal with their grief and loss. And the way it's working for me is helping me.
Right.
Me being able to give the tools.
Okay.
Of course, I know the tools.
But it reminds you.
It helps me.
Yes.
In ways that they don't have any idea.
Right. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And you only know if you ask me, like you asked me now. And I'm saying, yeah, okay, helping others with that's one of the powerful things about serving and service, which is why I admire you. You have a heart for serving. It does. And it empowers others and empowers you. Even when you don't.
It's the law of reciprocation. It comes back.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't even, sometimes you aren't even aware of how much it empowers you.
Right.
And I know when I'm by myself and when I'm lonely and going through my thought processes, I never reach back on what I've shared with another client. I reach within.
Wow.
For what I need.
Yes, in the moment.
And then I can apply a tool. I go, oh yeah, so this is how you can do this. This is the tool that I'll use right here and right now.
Yeah.
I'm getting all kind of spiritual awakenings. All of most of my sermons since her passing have been like totally different.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, much different.
Right.
Much different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But good.
Sure.
In a empowering way, I say good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But from high school to 49 years later, I mean, it's like a piece of you literally is missing.
Oh, I lost my arm.
Yeah.
My right arm.
Right.
Because you knew her, so you know what I mean.
I know that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Wow.
You never say one of our names. You always say Doug and Rosalind.
Absolutely.
And I've heard that from other people say, I'm not used to saying just Doug. And I'm like, I'm not used to hearing just Doug. Yeah.
Unbelievable. So if you can, and I hear you when you say you're just in certain stages, right? What is there anything that you could tell someone that you've learned thus far?
You speaking specifically about the grieving? Or?
Yes, just about how it happened. From when it happened, I could just imagine. You know what I mean, Doug? I can imagine the days and the times and the middle night when you wake up. Just because I'm a man, and we have those things, right? We have those moments when it's just us, right? And so I'm just wondering, and maybe there's nothing right now that comes to mind, but someone out there listening could have someone who's passed away recently, and they're going through stages, and those stages, everybody progresses at their own pace, right? So is there anything maybe that comes to your mind that you've gone through thus far where you say, man, you know what? This right here really helped me.
Okay, so let me say, when we talk about the stages of grief, they're not linear. It's interchanging.
Okay.
All the time.
Right.
It's not like you get finished with one.
And you never revisit.
You finish with denial, then you, a shock.
Yeah.
And now you do denial.
Yeah.
And now you do bargaining.
Right. And then shock might pop back up again.
It's all the time.
Wow.
In and out, in and out, in and out.
Okay.
But the ultimate goal is to come to acceptance.
Acceptance.
Yeah. Because that's what really heals.
Okay.
Once you can accept it.
Yes.
Then you can begin to heal.
Okay.
As long as you're denying it, as long as, you're bargaining.
Yeah.
As long as you are, in everything but acceptance, you're not healing. You keep reopening the wound.
Yes.
It's like picking a scab off of a wound that's trying to heal.
Right.
So what I would offer is to let the processes happen.
Okay.
Let it happen.
Okay. Yeah.
Let it happen.
Yeah.
And it will eventually come around
Yeah.
to acceptance.
Right.
Now I say that because my dad passed away in 1980.
Okay.
My grandmother passed in the 1970s.
Sure.
Both grandparents on both sides. My dad, all of it. So this is not my first rodeo with death.
Right.
And looking back on it, I recognize the pattern is finally you get to acceptance.
The ultimate goal.
The ultimate goal is acceptance. So that's what I would offer.
Okay.
Yeah. And just let it happen.
Just let it happen.
Let it happen.
Just let it happen. Awesome. You heard it from him. Someone out there, you may have someone who has passed away recently, maybe someone that you know is dealing with the process of grief. And so I think that what I'm hearing is for those of us who are around someone that's doing that, man, just support them. Understand that it's on their own pace and they're going to do it. And now that we say that, Doug, there has been times in the last year where you may not have felt right. And being a person close to you, maybe I discern that. But like you said, we have to support you in any way that we can, support anybody who's going through it in any way that we can, but make sure that we're not pressing on them, right?
Right.
We can't say, hey, he needs to be cheered up. Let's go do this. They may not want anything done, please. Right?
Right.
Golly.
Absolutely.
I put myself in that shoes. Like,
Absolutely.
don't tell me what I need to be feeling or go do or
No.
Yeah. Right.
You know, one of the since I'm talking to the audience, one of the things that I do, I'll say thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah. Right.
And I didn't plan on saying that,
Sure.
but that's what would come up. That's what I mean by letting it happen. Let whatever comes up come up.
Happen.
And I started hearing myself saying that more and more. I say thank you, but no thank you.
Thank you, but no thank you.
One of the worst questions that people ask me is, how are you? Now, I know they mean well.
They do. But please, however I am, I don't feel like saying it.
And I'm saying, thank you,
yeah.
but no thank you.
Even to the answer.
And they get this funny thing going on their face.
That's not how you are.
But let it happen.
Yeah.
Because it's your individual experience.
It is.
You can't put two of them together and it match like it never will.
no
Mine
magic
and
formula.
yours, right?
Yeah.
The loss of a spouse, the loss of a child, the loss of a parent. So, no, let it happen.
Let it happen.
And keep your spirit connected to a power higher than you.
Ooh.
That's what I would say.
Ooh, make sure you're connected.
Keep that
Stay plugged
spiritual.
in.
Absolutely, because now we're coming back to the whole person.
Yeah.
The wellness of the spirit and the soul is just as necessary as the wellness of your mind and the wellness of your body.
Yes.
When a person goes into depression, that's spiritual and mental.
Yes.
It's not just one.
Yes.
And then what happens? The body suffers. Your hygiene goes down. You can't
overeat, undereat,
all of that.
All that. Yeah. Don't sleep. All that.
You can't deny it.
Affects your body.
So you got to feed your spirit.
Okay.
Feed your spirit. Feed your mind. The positive, healthy mind is the goal. And take care of your body. Eat, sleep, and as much as you can,
Sure.
And stay off of drugs.
Stay off of it.
If you can. Because drugs are artificial. Artificial, I say like a Band-Aid most of the time.
Yeah.
And the body works to heal itself when it's attended to right.
Right. Yes. You don't need the artificial help.
Not all the time. When it's necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, when it's necessary.
Yeah. That makes sense. Well, my friend, you know that I support you. You know that I love you. You know that you are my friend till the end. And man, all that was deep. I thank you for sharing.
I thank you for the opportunity to share.
Absolutely. What's one thing, if you want to just look right out there and just say some parting words, if you're going to say it, shout out to Baltimore or whatever you want to whatever you want to say to anybody in this camera right up here,
Yeah.
and speak to them from your heart and give them something. You know, at the Onealien show, we want to give them a nugget. Give somebody a nugget. You've already dropped a few of them off. Give them one big nugget before we wrap this up.
Live your best life.
Live your best life.
Live your best life. Because
You heard it.
You only get one time. You only get one shot at it.
You only get one shot. You only get one shot.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that. I'm going to use it. Live your best life. Live your best life. Here on the Onealien Show, we are happy for all of you guys to join us. One thing I wanted to say is if you are in the mood to support your local businesses, then Retail Therapy Arizona is one of our sponsors. And put them on your to-do list. They have 3 amazing locations in Glendale, Anthem, Westgate. They feature many, many small businesses from right here in Arizona. So go to retailtherapyaz.com. You can look up and see what they're doing, or stop by one of their locations, Retail Therapy of Arizona. They are a beautiful, beautiful sponsor. As a matter of fact, they're going to be here in a couple weeks to give us an update and let us know how they're doing. So, everyone, this has been a fantastic show. This has been a show, just quite honestly, it was something that I wanted to do for my friend. I felt like maybe in a certain way this would be a little bit therapeutic for him. As a matter of fact, that was my hope. And so I just wanted him to come and just talk. I knew that, he would talk to me and we turn we would not focus on the cameras and everything. So hopefully all of you enjoyed our conversation. A man from Baltimore, right, who left everything back there to come out on a mission to the desert, to the cactus of Arizona, right, and deliver that hardcore message for some knucklehead running the streets like myself. I needed to hear it, right? Change is what I need. And he extended his helping hand from a spiritual standpoint. And I took it. I took it at the time, right? We've been through a journey together, and we're going to continue to go.
We're still on it.
We're still on it. We're still on it. It is not over. And it's never too late, is what I heard him say. He went back to school in his 50s. Get at it. I keep saying back. He went to school for the first time in his 50s. Get out of here. What is your excuse? You've been sitting there so long. Go do it.
Do it.
And so, man, and then thank you for sharing the vulnerability part. Thank you for sharing and being transparent, right? You've been going through something. And I've been on the sidelines watching, and I loved your wife. I did. And to see you, in my opinion, because I could only imagine as an empathetic person myself, and a person who's close to you, could just only imagine those times, right? It feels like to me that there could be moments when you feel like life is continue to move on and you're stuck, right? And so Doug, man, I just appreciate you. You are an Avenger on my team, professionally and personally. You've always been there, and man, I just thank you.
I thank you, John. Everything you said, ditto.
Back to me.
You my guy. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's my friend. We're here. Thank you, sir. So we're going to get out of here. I'm going to get out of here. Hey, it's been a beautiful week, man. Right now we're moving into summer, and I'll tell you, this season, the spring season is one that I love. To me, it's got a lot of newness to it. Love is in the air. Isn't that what they say? Love is in the air. But we are going to be here next week. I got a special treat for you. But until then, the Onealien Show, we're here to help. We're here to help. We're here to extend a helping hand to you. I bring my friends in all the time. You heard a story. Some of you are dealing with the things that he's dealing with. Some of you are transplants. Maybe you're in a new area and you wanted to hear that someone made it, right? Some of you are in long marriages, right? Keep going. Keep it up. Some of you have lost someone near and dear to you. Some of you have had some of you have a voice. Some of you have an urge to go and do something. I heard him say that. He just seen a sign. He was paying attention. He saw a sign, and from that sign, he heard the voice in him that said, learn that, go do that. And look at him. Today, he's helping me to positively influence people all the time. Go back to my show, one of my original shows, Restoration and Redemption, was Randy and Jensen came here in the studio. They're two people that he and I together work with. And their lives have changed. And so I thank you again. I can't thank you enough. You and I are partners in this business, and we are making a positive change. And I couldn't do it without you, my Avenger. Feel me?
Yes, sir. I feel you.
I had to say it before I left. This is the Onealien Show. We're here. We'll be back next time. I appreciate all y'all. I love everybody. Check out all our stuff everywhere. We're just all over the place. Google the Onealien Show, and you'll find me. Until next time, I'm out. Later.